Dear viewers, hello. At the present moment, I am at the National Museum of Cambodia in Phnom Penh. It is the largest museum of cultural history in Cambodia, and also the country's leading historical and archaeological museum. Built between 1917 and 1920 by the French, it houses the greatest collection of Khmer art, including sculptures, ceramics, bronze statues, and ethnographic objects. The museum buildings were designed following the style of Khmer temple architecture. The double and triple roofs partially overlapping each other, and the shofars decorating the corners of those roofs are the most evident elements of that influence. Before I enter the museum, I think it is a good idea to have a walk around the garden, which is absolutely lovely. The vegetation is lush, and many statues decorate this beautiful outdoor area. This museum was the brainchild of George Grosselier, who was a French architect, writer, painter, ethnologist, archaeologist, and many other things. He dedicated his entire life to the preservation of the culture, the history, and the art of the Khmer Empire. It was he the one who designed the building in the Khmer style, and it was he the person who gathered many of the objects that are exhibited here. In 1924, the building's original design was modified by adding extensions with wings at both ends of the eastern facade, making the structure even more impressive. Isn't this banyan tree absolutely gorgeous? On August 9, 1951, the French transferred control of the National Museum and Arts Administration to the Cambodians. After gaining independence in 1953, the National Museum of Phnom Penh became part of bilateral agreements. In 1966, Chiete Seng became the first Cambodian director of the museum and served as the dean of the newly founded Department of Archaeology at the Royal University of Fine Arts. This university, originally established as the School of Cambodian Arts in 1920, has been closely associated with students, artisans, and teachers dedicated to preserving Cambodian cultural traditions, and it is still located behind the museum. I totally recommend a stop at the lovely cafe of the museum. It's a very pleasant place to hang out for a few hours. As you enter the museum, you are greeted by a large sandstone statue of the Garuda, a Hindu deity which is today the symbol of Indonesia. The first room on the right is entirely dedicated to the bronze objects of the Angkorian and post-Angkorian periods. The historical periods that mark the history of the Khmer Empire are essentially three: the pre-Angkorian period, that goes from the 1st century until the 9th century, the Angkorian era that goes from the 9th century until the 13th century, and the post-Angkorian period that goes from the 14th century until today. Pre-Angkorian civilization developed around the Mekong Delta, between today's southern Cambodia and southern Vietnam. International trade introduced Hindu and Buddhist traditions from South Asia to mainland Southeast Asia, and rulers began to present themselves as god kings. The two main kingdoms were Funan and Chenla. The Angkorian period instead began in the year 802, when King Jayavarman II established his new kingdom north of Lake Tonle Sap, near today's Siem Reap. During this period, Khmer civilization reached its peak. In this period, Angkor Wat and all the other temples were built. The Angkorian period ended in 1431, when Angkor was sacked by the Thais of the Ayutthaya kingdom. The decline of the Angkorian kingdom also coincided with the conversion to Theravada Buddhism of the general population. The post-Angkorian era was a period of steady and relentless decline, which ultimately culminated in Cambodia being transformed into a French protectorate in 1863. The Khmer Empire lost territory after territory to its more powerful neighbors, and went from being the most powerful country to be the weakest. What you see here are elephant bells. These instead are rice spoons and bowls from the post-Angkorian period. In the middle, you can see a very beautiful betel case in the shape of a peacock. We are now in the adjacent room, which is dedicated to bronze statues, mainly of Hindu deities and of the Buddha. This statue, dating back to the 10th century, depicts the Maitreya, the prophesied new Buddha, destined to succeed Gautama Buddha and to restore the Dharma in this world. The larger statue you see here depicts the Buddha protected by the Naga, which is a mythological snake with 7 heads present in both Hinduism and Buddhism. It usually has a protective role. Unlike the West, where snakes are associated with the devil, in the East they are viewed more positively. What you see here are different Hindu deities, some of them not identified. The one on the bottom right is Shiva, which is, along Vishnu, the most venerated deity in Hinduism. Many other gods in Hinduism are actually avatars of Shiva and Vishnu. Shiva is the destroyer, while Vishnu is the preserver. Brahma instead is the creator, but there aren't many representation of him. These you see here are the feet of Shiva. Here they gathered the bronze statues of Ganesh, the Hindu god that has the body of a man with 4 arms and the head of an elephant. He is widely revered by Hindus, Jains, and Buddhists. He is considered the remover of obstacles and a bringer of good luck. This is a statue of Nandi, the sacred bull of Shiva. It is considered a symbol of purity and justice. Many Hindus who live outside India believe that when they die, Nandi takes them back to the Holy Land of India. We are now entering the section of the museum where sandstone sculptures are exhibited. The inscription made on this stone is written in pre-Angkorian Khmer language. It dates back to the 7th century, and it commemorates 2 donations by an individual, whose name I won't tell you because it is unpronounceable, of slaves, livestock, and rice to a temple dedicated to the god Amersvera. This pole-like sculpture is a mukhalinga, which is an abstract representation of the god Shiva, often placed in temples for people to worship. Finally, after so many representations of Shiva, we have a large statue of Vishnu, the other important god of Hinduism. Vishnu is associated with the preservation of life and the protection from evil. Whenever the world faces danger from evil, chaos, and destructive powers, Vishnu manifests as an avatar to reestablish cosmic balance. All the statues you see here are made of sandstone extracted from quarries in the Kulin Mountains near Siem Reap. This sculpture is a representation of King Yasovarman I, who ruled over the Angkorian kingdom from year 889 to year 910. He is known as the Leper King because he was afflicted by leprosy. And here is Hanuman, the divine monkey god. He represents devotion and selfless service. He is considered a model devotee who puts the needs of others before his own, embodying the ideal of devotion to God. Look at how gorgeous is the inner courtyard of the museum. Lovely. Skanda, the Hindu god of war, is represented here riding his peacock. Here we see instead baby Skanda playing with his father Shiva. This statue of the Garuda, the progenitor of all birds, is absolutely beautiful. Look at the details, how finely chiseled they are. This incredible 19th century boat cabin, made of rattan wood, was found in a temple near the floating river village of Kampong Pluk, not far from Siem Reap. Two very large and intricate silk looms are housed in the museum. Sometimes there are artisans who show how they work, but not now, unfortunately. What you see here is a large ceremonial drum dating back to the Angkorian period. And these are other smaller drums. On this decorated chair, senior monks used to sit when they were preaching to their disciples. It is quite rare to see statues of the Buddha standing. My exploration of the National Museum of Cambodia has come to an end. I hope you could get some enjoyment and a little bit of knowledge out of it. See you soon when my next video comes out. Goodbye and have a nice day.